As some of you know, we are in a presidential election. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, who has been facing off currently in this season, and that will be elected into office starting in the beginning of next week. But there has been some division taking place, and this issue is causing a lot of that division. But before we get into this topic, my name is Jonah. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, as many of you who are watching this video are not subscribed. So let's go ahead and get into this topic now. I am pretty frustrated with a lot of the things that I'm hearing from both sides, right? And it's causing a division amongst our people. Number one, you are entitled to your opinion. I believe everybody should respect people for whoever they vote for. And I don't think that this election, as much as important as it is the end all be all for us Americans, right? You are entitled to your own opinion. You have the right to vote for whoever you want to vote for. But there are some things that are causing some issues within our society, right? There's no longer a respect for who we vote for, and it's usually if you do this or act this way or believe this way, you are no longer a part of, I don't like that mindset. I don't like that mentality. I do not even like that saying. And I'm gonna give you some clear examples, but like even just right now, we have both candidates who are pushing an agenda on the Americans. And these agendas are going to cause a division because there's a lot of people who are really hardcore into their politics. Now, there's nothing wrong being in politics. I think every Christian should be in politics. Me, and a believer who knows some about politics, not a lot about politics. I don't specialize in politics. I do believe politics are important because it does affect our day-to-day life, who runs our country. However, it shouldn't get to the point to where it's dividing us as a people or as a whole, and to the point to where it's causing you to lose a friend, lose a family member, or even a relative, right? I just think that's immature. I don't think that should even be taking place. Now, there's some things that I've been hearing, right, from both sides, from Christian and non-Christian, that I disagree with, right? And as me as a Christian, I want to address this issue, right? Now, of course, you will always hear, the person who doesn't really care so much about, the baby in the womb, reproductive rights, and, so on and so forth, will go against the Christian. And it's like, hey, you're being hateful, you're being this, you're being that, right? But then you have the Christians who say, okay, if you vote for this agenda, then you are not of God. You're not a Christian. Even goes so far to the point that a pastor even said that if you vote for this party, you're no longer a Christian. I even hear people that I know even says, well, guess what? This guy's for the Christian. You need to vote for this, this guy. And it's just like you have all these different angles. People are just like eating at each other. That's just causing a divide. What's the issue is right now is there is no middle ground. There is no love involved. There is no unification that is being brought up. All it is if you do not vote for this person, if you're not for this person, I don't want anything to do with you. That is the issue I'm having. That's the issue that I'm seeing. And there's a Bible verse that I want to bring up because I'm really about to hit some people in the gut with this Bible verse because it's a part of who we are as believers, right? We need to know that. I'm going to give you a clear example too. Like, for example, let me just go ahead and say it. Like, I don't like Kamala Harris's agenda, right? I don't like the fact that she's pushing reproductive rights on women, right? I believe that the baby in a womb, of course, is definitely God's creation. Now, of course, there's more to it than just that comes to my voting rights that I don't like about her policies. Overall, I believe Trump's policies are better. And once again, I don't believe a woman. It's not that I don't believe a woman can't, run for president. I do believe, and I'm okay with a woman running for president. I just think that somebody else who has a better policy might be better. However, I really don't think we have the best candidates. I don't really like Trump as much. I don't really like Kamala Harris that much. But I'm going to go for the vote on whatever my conscience believes. But at the end of it all, when it comes to what we believe as Americans, or even more so as Christians, because that is our blueprint. As Christians, we are for the kingdom. We know on this earth that things are passing away. We know that on this earth, everything is not going to go the way we want it to go, right? But we do know that God is in control, and we do know that God is sovereign. And us as believers, we have the responsibility to do this one thing that Jesus is commanding us to do, that's going to unify us regardless of who and what you believe in, all right, politically. So Mark chapter 12, verse 30 through 32 says, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than this. When you hear you're not a Christian because you vote for such and such, where in the Bible does Jesus say? Just hear me out. Where in the Bible does Jesus say to love someone based off of their political beliefs? Right? Where in the Bible does it say that this person is no longer Christian just because they believe on this side of the spectrum? Where in the Bible says that you are a Christian based off the elephant or the donkey you vote for? Where in the Bible does it say you love a person based off their political agenda? It doesn't say it. What does it say? It says what? Love your neighbor as yourself. But before that, it says love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. And what's very important to that is, in conjunction to that, when you love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you'll also do the same for people. You will love them because you love God. Your love for God, your relationship with God will be affected and will play a big part based off of how you love and treat people equally. I do not believe that a lot of people are seeing it that way. I think we are adding stuff to the gospel that are not part of the gospel. And some of us have grown up with certain political perspectives that has become a part of the faith that I think people need to deconstruct from. And I do believe that this is becoming a big issue widely, right? If we keep Jesus at the center of everything, if we love our neighbor regardless of who they vote for, who they're for, imagine the impact this nation can have on our society. Imagine how much unified our society will look. Man, it's so crazy because when people ask me, who are you voting for? I know that some people who ask are not looking for a conversation or a healthy dialogue. I know that people are actually looking for an argument. They're not looking for an answer, nor are they looking for some level of understanding. They're just looking for a way to have every reason and every right to hate you. Which in 1 John, the Bible does talk about how can you love God but you hate your brother? You can't. I just don't understand why we are utilizing political issues that I just don't understand why this is so much of a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but it's become so much of a big deal that it has crept in to the church. And I think we as a church need to understand the gospel compels us to love people and to be unified with people. That doesn't mean we won't disagree, right? It doesn't mean that we will not see an issue that we're against and we're like, oh no, heck no, we need to stay far away from that, right? Again, like I said, I think there's policies that's way better than another policy, and I'd rather be more for this policy than that policy, but that's my stance. But to actually you can even see even on media, like the fact that there has been a ton of assassination attempts on Donald Trump. And when I mean ton, I'm just exaggerating, but it's mind-blowing to me that hatred has struck a lot of people in our culture, right? And what if, I really wonder how the culture would have reacted if that attempt has literally became like if that attempt was successful. Like how people were like, oh man, I'm glad that happened. Or people were actually like, man, wow, that actually happened. There's a big difference. And you can see that there is a hatred in people based off a political agenda. And this is the reason why we should not be incongruent with that hatred. We need to be incongruent with what Jesus says, to love your neighbor. So there's been an issue, and that's the reason why I stay out of political debates. I stay out of political arguments. I might give my 2 cents, my 2 sides, right? Because when people come at me with these issues, most of them do not come at me for an answer, a healthy dialogue, a mind of being open, but they come at me to either tear me apart or find some way or excuse to cause some type of division. So I do believe that this is an ongoing issue. And every election, for some reason, this issue has been so problematic that it's like every election it just gets worse, right? But it's just mind-blowing to see that so many people put so much faith in the man. And if you noticed, I remember even reading the Bible where it talks about where Israel at one time wanted a king and God was their king, but they were like, no, we want basically an earthly king. Because they were looking around in the nation, like the Canaanites and the pagans, because they wanted what they had, right? And God gave them a king, but didn't give them a king what they should have gotten. Because God was more in favor and had more in mind of David, right? David was a man after God's own heart, right? Now, Saul became their king, but God gave them exactly what they wanted. And it turned out not for the better, it turned out for the worse. Because Saul definitely did not make the best decision as king. And we can get into kingship and how kings were supposed to keep a copy of the law and read it and stick to it. As a king, you had a lot of responsibilities and duties as a king, especially being king of Israel. But I say out to say this, it's just it's so crazy and still amazes me that people will divide over somebody they don't even know, right? Or over somebody that for time after time, election after election, these people will promise us stuff or promise us things that aren't fulfilled or don't even take place. So I believe that we need to be very careful on how we voice our opinions when it comes to choosing political parties. At the end of the day, we need to love each other. At the end of the day, we need to walk as Jesus has called us to walk, right? We are for the kingdom, guys. We are not for this world. This world will continue to have issues every single day, right? And another reason why we need to put our trust in Jesus regardless. Like, we always need to pray for our president. Like, I don't care Trump or Kamala Harris. I don't care whoever gets in. We need to be praying for them, because as Christians, it's our duty to make sure that our country is being ran right, right? So this presidential election is very interesting, like, even to the point to where you see the interviews taking places, and these questions that are being asked aren't being answered, right? They're being dodged. They're being skipped over. More than likely, it's because they don't have an answer to it. You now see them both on people's podcasts. You now see them in the church. Well, and what's what's very funny is when I see somebody who says Jesus is king at your rally. You turn around and say you at the wrong rally, and we all know who we're talking about, Kamala Harris, and then turn around, go to a church to be lifted by elders and pastors, but for some reason you see so clearly that people are just trying to win over the church. People are just trying to win over voters. And then once they are in office, how much do people really care about the people? And that's the reason why we have to be careful, because so many of us are dividing over these political parties. I'm pausing a lot because there's so much I want to say that I'm not going to say. I'm trying to say certain things, but it's just mind-blowing. It's hurting. It hurts me to see that people don't have love for other people over who's running our country. So that scripture that I just read to you is the foundation for the Christian. Nobody who's a Christian or a pastor should ever outcast somebody or should ever separate somebody or kick somebody out just because they believe in this side of the agenda, right? The left, or I can say, or the right, either or. So as believers, we're called to be the light. We are the city on the hill. That shouldn't even be named among us. We are the ones that should be examples, right? So when things happen, the world can see, and when they turn to us, they can see the light of Jesus. So that's my opinion. That's obviously the scripture I gave you. I definitely do believe that, again, this voting is very important. Please respect each other when it comes to voting. For sure, definitely vote. Exercise your vote. Whoever you vote for matters, of course. But whoever somebody else votes for, don't treat them differently because they don't agree with you, especially as a Christian. So that's all I wanted to say, because I believe that our nation has been shifted. I have been in conversation with some people, and I know that they're angry. I know that People are putting trust in human beings to actually save them from their earthly issues, right? That they are actually responsible for. And I just think as a nation, we need to be unified, especially as a nation, especially as a time as such as this. We definitely need to keep Jesus Christ at the center of everything, including our differences. So I hope this video was helpful. Please comment it respectfully. Please comment your thoughts and your opinions on, do you believe that the political polarization is taking a toll on us as a nation? Do you think that you see a separation and division taking place? And or just what's your thoughts on like how we as human beings can learn how to definitely come together versus just separating from one another? I just really do see as believers, we are responsible for loving our neighbor. All right. So I'm not going to stress that anymore enough. You got the memo. I see you guys in the next video. Peace.